Okay, we got ourselves a player here from Denmark, I believe. Good luck to you. All right, so I'm gonna play this anti-Grunfeld line that I like, and if my opponent plays a King's Indian with Bishop G7, I'll just transpose into the Shamish. Okay, so here's the anti-Grunfeld line. My opponent played the Grunfeld anyway, so here's the idea. After knight takes e4, black would like to be able to capture on c3, but I've delayed the knight's development. So now this knight is kind of a passive piece on the edge of the board. That's the basic idea. But you've noticed we've built up kind of this massive center, and I'm going to try to turn the tables on black and attack. So this does give up a pawn. I don't think he can play c5. Unless I'm really missing something. Let's hit the knight. The knight drops back. And I'm gonna castle along. It's not easy to recoup this pawn. It's a bit annoying. And at the very least time consuming. So I'm gonna start my initiative on the king side pronto. Notice a6, b5. I could just take en passant. Okay. So he's looking to get queen. He's looking to recoup this pawn. Is there any way I can cut across this plan? Any way of doing that? Or do I just play a tidy move like king b1? And take it from there. Could defend with queen d5. I don't really know about that though. e6, queen d6. All right, let's just drop the king over. Drop the king over, and after knight takes c5, which I assume is going to happen, I can press on. That's surprising. That's a really surprising move. I'm wondering if I can... No, you know what? I'm not worrying about this pawn on c5, okay? Because when you think about it, black had to invest time to recoup this pawn. And this is a raise position. So I'm coming here. I want to try to provoke e5. I would love to see the move e5 on the board. I don't think rook d8's a problem. You know, I obviously should have calculated that move. All right, welcome to those who've joined the stream. This is an early one. So he just decides to push on. Okay. Let's just take this. I would be totally fine transposing into an endgame right now. And I think that's where we're heading after queen d4 hitting this and this. I just like my superior pawn structure again. You know, we saw this in one of my games yesterday, where my opponent had 3 pawn islands, including an isolated pawn, whereas I only had 2 pawn islands and no pawn weaknesses. I'm a little bit. I can't say I'm ahead in development right now, but you know, I've got good inroads for my pieces. My only potentially bad pieces is bishop, just because I've got a lot of pawns on light squares. But if he ever plays the move b4, which I think would be kind of a mistake. It's a tempting move, but I think it's a mistake. My bishop could come to c4. Okay. So where do we want to go with the rook? I think here looks good. Hitting the knight. I think maybe he has to defend with bishop d7. Okay, that's on the board. Now, can I play... Yeah, unfortunately, I'm going to be a little late coming to the D file. That's unfortunate. So I think my opponent is going to be able to claim control over this file, which is not ideal, but not the end of the world. So I'm going to play king c1 just to keep that rook out of the 7th rank. Then I'm just looking to get my bishop developed and my rook into the game. So black does have some compensation for this weakness in the form of a slight lead in development, but I'm pretty much ready to solve all my problems after rook d1. Can I just play that now? I don't see why not. Well, I guess I do have to worry about the move b4. Undermining the defense of the bishop. Actually, I'm okay there. No, I'm not, because that would come with check. I was just thinking because the rook would be hanging. Alright, that's kind of a tricky move. Tricky. Wonder if I got to take this quick detour and play rook e1. Yeah. Let's play rook e1 so that we can prepare bishop f1 and then bring the rook over. It's kind of funky development, but I don't want to run into any problems there. And there's b4 on the board, as expected. So I think I can just swing the knight around. You know, the knight would find a really nice home on c4, on g5, maybe, g5, maybe eyeing up this weak e5 square. Like, I would love a position where I have a knight versus this bishop. This bishop's just biting on granite. I could get this knight. So what's the big idea? To play knight c2? I think I can just play a3 here. Unless I'm missing something. I could definitely be missing something, but I kind of view this. I kind of view this pawn more as a long-term weakness. Plus, he just gave a really nice square to my knight. It's totally possible that I'm just missing something here, but all right, let's. Now that this bishop has a future here, I'm just gonna duck this rook back to the H file. Maybe look for knight G5, something like that. But I actually like the way I'm set up, the way I'm coordinated now. Just going back, you know, you look at this move B3. You know, it gave my knight a really excellent square on C3. Okay, he decides to take, and I'm totally happy. I think, again, unless I'm just missing something, taking off this, exchanging my worst piece, which was my light squared bishop, for that knight. And now I'm just looking to play a move like Rook D1, and just try to undermine this configuration. I don't believe in Black's setup. But maybe, you know what I do? Actually, I don't play Rook D1 first. I play Knight F4, gaining a tempo on the rook, centralizing the knight, and then play Rook D1. So that will win me a solid tempo there. Always got to look for moves like that. Take a look at the stream. I'm streaming pretty early today. Giving this a shot. The MVP marketing department, aka my wife, noticed that this is a pretty good time to stream, so we are coming live a little early. Now, if he takes, I'm just going to take with the knight, like so. Because if I took with the king, that would have run into some issues here with a fork. I don't want to lose that pawn for sure. But this just covers all these squares nicely. And then I'm just going to look to get this knight in the game. Get this knight active. It's on the rim right now, but it's got really good prospects. Okay, so he plays e5 to try to keep my knight out of the f4 square. Understandable, but that's no big deal. I will route the knight around this way. I can come here. I can come here. You know, I'm just going to be hitting a lot of loose stuff. So I really think Black has overextended himself. He's got serious pawn weaknesses that we're going to be able to exploit. Norma Lozando. How's it going, man? Or I don't want to assume you're a man. It's just a figure of speech. Welcome to the stream is what I'm trying to say. All right, he's counterattacking my pawn here on G2, but I can just play this. Now this knight is in dire straits, because I just go king d2, he's forced to play here, and I'm just winning an absolutely critical pawn on the queen side. So I think that was a big-time mistake for my opponent. Big-time mistake. You gotta really calculate knight moves like this, like where your knight's on the back rank, way behind enemy lines. So easy for them to get trapped. So I think we're basically in the driver's seat in this position. Not basically in the driver's seat. We're in the driver's seat. I'm expecting knight c2 only move. and we're just going to win. We're going to have a 2-on-1 pawn majority that we're just going to push. We've got the h3 square blockaded. Our king's going to become more active. So in the end game, king first, okay? King first. So my opponent is not playing king first. Let's take this opportunity to make a pass pawn here. Now the real question is, do I take with the b pawn or do I take with the king? I take with the king, I think. Let's get a really outside pass pawn and just start pushing it. Now if I go a4, he goes bishop f1, I go a5, he takes, and I play a6, it's game over. So this is not a threat. This is not a threat. So I can just go ahead and continue with my plan, I think. Now I would like to keep the king out of these dark squares if possible. So what to play here? I think let's gain some time on this bishop. You know, again, I just don't think he's got the time to go pawn hunting. Okay. Do I give a check? Let's come here. Again, I'm not worried about the bishop taking. It's got a really big responsibility of defending this square. And the nice thing about the knight here is, look, it guards these dark squares. So I actually don't even know what black does in this position. The king's totally boxed out. And I think I'm just going to be able to play a6 and win the bishop next. You know, my king is just so active and perfectly placed to escort this pass pawn. Definitely playing some viewers today. So if you're in the stream and you haven't followed yet, be sure to shoot me a follow. We're trying to get back up to 50. And the other thing that we're really trying to do is maintain a good average number of viewers during the stream. We want to get that number up. Okay, so he just decides to push. I'm not really sure that changes matters at all. I'm not sure. I think I probably take here. This pawn's defended. I push, winning the bishop. And then my idea was this. Might be a blunder. Who knows? But I feel like I'm slightly faster in this position. Let's just pre-move that. It goes on the board. I feel like I'm slightly faster in this position. So I can just take this off and push. And push. And push. And yeah, this looks good. My opponent resigned. So yeah, good game there. Really happy with the way that I converted that end game. You know, specifically just calculating all of this stuff on the king side. Like not seeing ghosts and getting scared about bishop f1. Just calculating concretely, like, does that move work? And it doesn't, because he can never take on g2. And then this move, knight h3, Okay, you say knights on the rim are dim, but in this case, this knight is an absolute monster on the rim. Okay, just completely boxing the king out and forcing him to play a move like g5. And after takes, we push. Is this correct? It's gotta be. Yeah, I mean, there's just no way. There's just no way to stop that pawn. And look how the knight is nicely controlling the paths of these pawns. So no matter which pawn black pushes, I can take, and this one's free to go. So yeah, that was a nice game. That was a really nice game.